I'm 42, married for 8 years, and until a year ago I would have told anyone who asked that my life was boring in the best possible way. Stable job, nice house in the suburbs, a wife everyone thought was out of my league, and a kid I adored more than I knew was possible. I used to scroll Reddit at night and read other people's disasters, feeling quietly grateful that none of it was mine. My wife, Lena, and I met in our early 30s. She was magnetic. Smart, beautiful, ambitious. I was already established, good salary, connections, a trajectory. I thought we were a team. She used to say she loved how safe I made her feel. I took that as a compliment. Our son was born 3 years into the marriage. Holding him for the first time felt like the moment my life finally locked into place. I worked harder. Bought a bigger house. Told myself the stress was worth it because I was building something real. Looking back, that's the scariest part. Life felt normal. Comfortable. Predictable. I didn't suspect anything because I didn't want to. Lena played the role perfectly. Loving wife, attentive mother, proud partner at work events. Friends envied us. My parents adored her. I trusted her completely. That trust is what makes this story hurt so much to tell. Because when everything finally cracked open, it wasn't just my marriage that broke. It was my sense of reality. And I'm still not sure I've put it back together. The background matters because the red flags didn't start as explosions. They were whispers. Easy to ignore. Convenient to rationalize. Lena always cared a lot about appearances. The right neighborhoods, the right schools, the right people. Early on, she pushed me to apply for promotions I didn't even want. She'd say things like, "You're meant for more than this." Or, "We deserve better." I thought she believed in me. She also had expensive taste. Designer bags, luxury vacations, a car we probably didn't need. I covered most of it. She said she'd pay me back someday, once her career took off. It never really did, but I didn't keep score. That's what partners do, right? Emotionally, though, she was distant. Intimacy became scheduled. Affection felt performative. When I tried to talk about it, she'd say she was tired, stressed, overwhelmed by motherhood. I believed her because it made sense. There were other things. She guarded her phone more than most people. Took long errands. Reconnected with old friends I'd never met. When I asked questions, she'd accuse me of being insecure or controlling. I backed off. I didn't want to be that guy. And I loved her. Or at least the version of her I thought was real. I also loved our son more than anything. He didn't look much like me, but people joked he got her genes. I laughed along. It's painful admitting this now, but I was so invested in the image of our life that I ignored how hollow it felt underneath. I kept telling myself every marriage goes through dry spells. That stability mattered more than passion. I didn't realize stability was the illusion. The doubt didn't arrive dramatically. It crept in through something stupid and small. Lena left her tablet at home one afternoon while I was working remotely. A message popped up on the screen. Just a name I didn't recognize and a heart emoji. That was it. No explicit text. No smoking gun. I stared at it longer than I should have. My stomach tightened in a way I couldn't explain. I told myself it was nothing. A coworker. A friend. I closed the notification and tried to focus on my work. But the feeling stayed. After that, I started noticing patterns. How she smiled at her phone. How she'd step outside to take calls. How she suddenly became very protective of her privacy. I hated myself for watching her like that. It made me feel paranoid and small. I checked our bank statements one night. Nothing obvious, but there were cash withdrawals I didn't recognize. When I asked her, she snapped. Said I was micromanaging her. The biggest thing, though, was our son. A doctor appointment where blood types were mentioned casually. The nurse corrected herself, but something didn't line up. Again, probably nothing. Probably. I didn't sleep that night. I didn't want to be right. I wanted someone to tell me I was crazy. Instead, the doubt rooted itself in my chest and started poisoning everything. Every smile felt fake. Every kiss felt rehearsed. I still didn't confront her. I was terrified of what the answer might be. I was also terrified of blowing up my family over a hunch. So I waited. And that waiting might be what destroyed me the most. The turning point came through an accident. Or maybe fate. Or maybe my own cowardice finally catching up to me. Lena asked me to grab something from her car while she was inside with our son. Her phone was on the passenger seat unlocked. I didn't even plan to look. My hand was already shaking when I picked it up. There was a message thread open. It wasn't graphic. It was worse. Familiar. Intimate. Inside jokes. Complaints about me. Plans to meet. A line that said, "I hate lying to him, but we'll be free soon." My ears rang. I felt like I was underwater. I scrolled. Photos. Nothing explicit, but enough. Enough to know this wasn't emotional only. Enough to know this wasn't recent. And then I saw it. A message from years ago. Around the time she got pregnant. "Are you sure it's his?" "She doesn't need to know." I dropped the phone. Literally dropped it. I thought I was going to throw up. My legs wouldn't work. I remember thinking, this can't be real. This doesn't happen to me. When I walked back inside, she looked at my face and knew immediately. The mask slipped for half a second. Fear. Calculation. Something cold. That was the moment my old life ended. Even before a word was spoken. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I think shock stole all of that from me. I asked her one question. "How long?" She tried to play dumb at first. Said I was misunderstanding. That I was invading her privacy. Then I quoted her own messages. Her shoulders sagged like a caught child. "Please," she said. Not in front of him. That broke something in me. The idea that she still cared about appearances while my insides were collapsing. She admitted to the affair. On and off for years. An old boyfriend who understood her. Who made her feel seen. I asked about our son. She went quiet. Too quiet. I'll never forget the way she said it. Flat. Almost annoyed. "I don't think he's yours." I laughed. It was a hysterical sound that didn't feel like it came from me. I asked if she was sure. She said there was a chance, but she never tested because it didn't matter. Didn't matter. I asked why she stayed with me. She hesitated, then said the truth in pieces. Stability. Security. Lifestyle. How I was a good provider. How she thought she could grow into loving me the way I deserved. I think that hurt more than the infidelity. Knowing I was chosen not for who I was, but for what I provided. I left the house that night. Drove aimlessly. Screamed in my car like a lunatic. I didn't know where to go, because everywhere felt contaminated. The days after felt unreal. Like I was watching someone else's life implode. She cried. A lot. Said she was sorry. Said she loved me in her own way. Said we could fix this. That I was throwing everything away if I left. Then she got angry. Accused me of abandoning the family. Of overreacting. Of caring more about biology than love. Friends got involved. Her mother called me heartless. Mine told me to get a lawyer immediately. Everyone had an opinion, and none of them were inside my head. The paternity test felt like a death sentence. Waiting for the results was torture. Every time my son laughed, I felt both overwhelming love and crushing dread. I hated myself for even questioning him. When the results came back, I stared at the paper for a long time before reading it out loud. 0% probability. I don't remember much after that. Just a roaring in my ears and Lena sobbing, saying it didn't change anything. It changed everything. I moved out officially. Started therapy. Couldn't eat. Couldn't sleep. I'd wake up panicking, reaching for a life that wasn't mine anymore. The worst part? I still missed her. Or the idea of her. Or the life I thought we had. Betrayal isn't clean. It's messy and contradictory and humiliating. The confrontation that followed was uglier than I expected. We sat across from each other at the kitchen table, divorce papers untouched between us. She tried to negotiate like this was a business deal. Shared custody. Financial arrangements. Public image. I asked her if she ever loved me. She said, "I cared about you." "I still do." I asked if she ever planned to tell me the truth. She said, "I thought it was kinder not to." That sentence still echoes in my head. She blamed fear. Youth. Circumstances. She said she felt trapped by expectations. That I was emotionally unavailable. That the affair partner manipulated her. Some of it might even be true. But none of it erased the fact that she built our marriage on a lie. When I said I couldn't raise a child under false pretenses, she accused me of being cruel. Of punishing an innocent kid. I cried harder than I had in years. I loved that boy. I still do. Walking away from him felt like tearing out my own heart, but staying felt like living a lie I didn't choose. In the end, the law made the decision easier. Biology mattered there, even if emotions didn't. I signed the papers with shaking hands. She didn't look at me. That was the last time we were a family. The emotional fallout didn't hit all at once. It came in waves. Some days I was furious. Other days numb. Sometimes I'd feel relief, followed immediately by guilt for feeling it. Therapy helped me put words to the chaos, but it didn't make it go away. I questioned everything about myself. Was I boring? Too focused on work? Easy to use? I replayed every conversation, every ignored instinct, every moment I chose peace over truth. Trust became impossible. I'd flinch when my phone buzzed. I'd analyze tone, timing, body language. I hated that version of myself. Financially, I was wrecked. Alimony. Legal fees. The house sold. The life I built for us evaporated. Socially, things were weird. Some friends disappeared. Others treated me like a victim, which I hated. I didn't want pity. I wanted my old certainty back. The hardest moments were the quiet ones. Seeing kids at the park. Hearing someone call me Dad in a movie. Wondering if the boy I loved would remember me at all. I tried dating. It was a disaster. I either overshared or shut down completely. I didn't trust my judgment anymore. Betrayal doesn't just break a relationship. It rewires your brain. It teaches you that love can be transactional, and that realization poisons everything that comes after. People kept asking if I'd ever forgive her. As if forgiveness was a destination you could just choose to arrive at. I don't know what forgiveness even means in this context. I don't wish her harm. I don't obsess over revenge. But I also don't excuse what she did. There are days I miss the illusion. The family photos. The shared jokes. The feeling of belonging to something. Then I remember it was all built on manipulation. I also had to confront an uncomfortable truth. I ignored red flags because the relationship benefited me too. I liked being admired. I liked the image of success. I traded emotional honesty for comfort. That doesn't make the betrayal my fault, but it complicates the story. I'm learning to sit with that complexity. To accept that people can be both victims and enablers of their own pain. The child is the hardest unresolved piece. I still think about him. Wonder if he's okay. If he's loved. If he ever asks about me. I was a father. Even if the DNA says otherwise. There's no clean closure for that. Just a quiet ache that follows me around. A year later, my life looks unrecognizable. Smaller apartment. Fewer friends. Less certainty. But also less pretending. I've rebuilt slowly. New routines. Gym. Therapy. Long walks at night where I let myself think instead of distract. I'm more cautious now. Maybe too cautious. I don't fall in love easily. I ask uncomfortable questions. I pay attention to actions, not words. Sometimes I wonder if Lena regrets it. If she ever loved me in a way she understands now that she lost. But that curiosity fades quicker than it used to. The hardest lesson was accepting that being needed is not the same as being loved. Being useful is not the same as being chosen. I was a means to an end. And that realization stripped away something naive in me that I'll never get back. But it also forced me to grow up emotionally in ways I had avoided. I don't know if I'll ever marry again. I don't know if I'll ever trust that deeply. What I do know is that I won't ignore my instincts to keep the peace. Peace built on lies isn't peace. It's just quiet suffering. Some nights, I replay the moment I first held my son. The warmth. The certainty. The promise I made silently to protect him forever. Those memories hurt the most because they were real. Even if the foundation wasn't. I've learned that love doesn't disappear just because the truth shows up. It just has nowhere to go. People tell me time heals everything. I don't think that's true. Time just teaches you how to carry the weight without collapsing. I carry mine every day. If there's a warning in all of this, it's not, don't trust. It's, don't abandon yourself. Pay attention when something feels off. Don't confuse comfort with connection. I stayed because it was easier than facing the possibility of loss. In the end, I lost everything anyway. I'm still figuring out who I am without the roles I built my identity around. Husband. Father. Provider. Now I'm just a man trying to be honest with himself. And maybe that's enough for now. I don't tell this story out loud very often. When I do, it never comes out right. I shorten it. I soften it. I turn it into something easier for other people to digest. We grew apart. Things got complicated. Anything but the truth. Because the truth makes people uncomfortable, and honestly, it still makes me uncomfortable. Most people don't know what to do when you tell them your wife married you for money and status, cheated for years, and let you raise a child that wasn't yours without ever planning to tell you. They either look at you like you're fragile glass or like you survived some kind of war. Neither feels accurate. I don't feel brave. I don't feel strong. I feel altered. There's a version of me that existed before all this, calmer, more trusting, more certain about how the world worked. That guy believed love meant loyalty by default. That marriage was a shared moral contract. That if you were honest and dependable, you'd be met with the same energy. I miss that guy sometimes. After everything came out, I had to sit with questions I never thought I'd ask myself. Was I loved at all, or just tolerated? Did she ever look at me and feel desire, or only relief that her future was secured? Were our happiest moments genuine, or performances designed to keep me invested? Those questions don't have satisfying answers. Therapy taught me that some things don't. Closure is mostly a myth we sell ourselves so we can sleep at night. What I have learned is that trauma doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like quiet distrust. Like flinching when someone compliments you. Like assuming generosity comes with strings. Like needing proof before you believe anything good. I didn't deserve what happened to me. I can say that now without immediately qualifying it. But I also can't pretend I was just a passive victim. I ignored discomfort because it was inconvenient. I accepted emotional distance because stability felt safer than confrontation. I played my own role in maintaining a lie because the lie benefited me too. Admitting that doesn't excuse her choices. It just makes the story honest. And honesty, I've learned, is the only thing that actually heals, even when it hurts like hell. If there's anything I wish someone had told me years ago, it's this: comfort can be just as dangerous as chaos. I stayed because my life looked good on paper. Because walking away felt reckless. Because admitting something was wrong meant risking everything I'd worked for. I told myself that real problems were louder, uglier, more obvious. I didn't understand that slow erosion is still destruction. There were moments, small, quiet moments, where my body knew before my brain did. A tightening in my chest when she dismissed my concerns. A knot in my stomach when I felt more like a resource than a partner. A sense of loneliness even while lying next to my wife in bed. I explained all of it away. We're taught to fight for relationships. To compromise. To be patient. But no one really talks about the difference between patience and self-abandonment. No one tells you that loyalty to someone who is lying to you isn't noble, it's just lonely. If you're reading this and something in your life feels off, don't wait for proof so undeniable it destroys you. Trust patterns, not promises. Pay attention to how someone responds when you express discomfort. Love doesn't punish curiosity. Love doesn't require you to shrink. I thought being chosen meant being needed. I thought providing stability was the same as being valued. It took losing everything to understand that being useful is not the same as being loved. Leaving didn't make me strong overnight. It wrecked me. But staying would have erased me completely. There's a difference between enduring hardship together and enduring deception alone. I didn't know that until it was too late. If this sounds familiar, please don't do what I did. Don't wait for betrayal to validate your pain. Pain doesn't need permission to matter. For a long time, I thought this experience had ruined my ability to believe in love. I told myself I was broken, cynical, incapable of trust. That I'd been permanently rewired to expect betrayal. That wasn't entirely true. What actually died wasn't my belief in love, it was my belief in fantasy. The idea that love alone fixes incompatibility. That commitment guarantees honesty. That wanting something badly enough makes it real. I don't believe that anymore. What I believe in now is choice. Repeated conscious choice. I believe love is something people do, not something they claim. I believe trust is built through consistency, not declarations. I believe boundaries are an act of respect, not selfishness. I'm more careful now. I ask direct questions. I listen to answers without romanticizing them. I don't rush intimacy just to avoid loneliness. That might sound cold, but it isn't. It's intentional. There are days I still feel grief. Not just for the marriage, but for the future I imagined. The holidays that never happened. The version of myself who thought he was a father forever. Those losses don't disappear just because I intellectually understand what went wrong. But there's also relief. Relief in no longer performing a role. Relief in not having to earn affection through provision. Relief in knowing that whatever comes next will be built on truth, or not at all. I don't know if I'll ever marry again. I don't know if I'll ever have children. Those questions don't haunt me the way they used to. My worth isn't tied to those outcomes anymore. I'm learning how to exist without proving anything. And that, strangely, feels like freedom. Writing this out feels like opening a door I kept locked for a long time. Not because I was hiding the truth from others, but because I was hiding parts of it from myself. This story used to live in my body as tension. As sleepless nights. As anger I couldn't place. Putting it into words doesn't erase it, but it gives it shape. It reminds me that what happened to me is not the same as who I am. For a long time, this betrayal felt like the defining event of my life. Like everything before it was naive and everything after it was damaged. I don't see it that way anymore. It was a turning point. A brutal one. But not an ending. I still carry scars. I probably always will. But scars mean something healed badly and then survived. They don't mean you're still bleeding. If you're reading this and you're in the middle of something similar, I won't tell you it gets easy. It doesn't. But it does get clearer. And clarity is powerful. You're allowed to walk away from something that hurts you, even if it looks perfect to everyone else. You're allowed to grieve a life that was built on lies. You're allowed to start over at an age where you thought things were supposed to be settled. I don't know exactly where my life is going now. But I know this: I'm no longer living someone else's plan for me. And for the first time since everything fell apart, that feels like a future I actually chose.